Welcome back to more plot, plot, plot. You can get back on your tangents now.
Alright then.
Something about Final Fantasy 12?
I think Lewis had the board.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you think it's sort of lazy to reuse Ivelisse as a world, I can sort of understand that, but they didn't exactly reuse the same portion of that world that we'd already seen.
It's just I understand as a person who didn't play a lot of 12. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that it's pretty much Ivelisse in name only.
For the most part, I suppose you could say. I mean, it's supposed to be acknowledged as being somewhere else in the same world as the Tactics games, but everything in that world is straight up built from scratch, fleshed out fully. Yeah. It's not like they're relying on existing stuff to carry the game. Actually, Final Fantasy XII has one of the most fleshed out worlds up to that point in a Final Fantasy game, so...
it's just that if there was a giant... Like, Final Fantasy VII had Midgar, and if, like, 2 Final Fantasies later, 3 Final Fantasies later, there was another city and they named it Midgar, that bothers me, because that tells me that you're not really trying to think of new names here. You're just reusing what's already there.
Well...
And I have no problem with
Hey, look, it's Locke.
Oh, hey, Locke.
You've aged poorly.
Yeah.
He got really
I'm pretty
upset
sure that
after
was
his
intentional.
girlfriend died in the last adventure.
Who, Rachel?
Again?
Yeah. Now, this I've never played Tactics or 12, so this might be misremembering something, but isn't there, like, some sort of old war in Tactics, or something that they're talking about, and that's what they explore in 12 or something, or am I just completely misremembering?
They're both different. They're both different political wars. The one in Tactics has to do with the church, and it's the version of Ivelisse we see in Final Fantasy Tactics is really undercooked compared to 12 because they pretty much just stick with standard medieval fantasy stuff and don't really try to differentiate it from what you would expect to see in medieval real world stuff. The church is just the church. God is God. And there's a mythology going on, but it's not really... I want to say it's not really expanded on as much, but I don't know as much about Tactics as I would like, so I'm going to say don't quote me on that. I know some stuff in 12 touches on some of the stuff established in Tactics, but Tactics... 12 has its own specific setting within Ivelisse, which is centered around the city of Rabanastre. For the most part, you're going to be you start out in Rabanastre, and for the first big ass chunk of the game, you've got this one massive city surrounded by several wilderness areas. And actually, it's kind of like the way Final Fantasy XIV handled it. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Okay. And I understand that there are a lot of things that are reused throughout Final Fantasy. It's just Ivelisse in particular, when they reused that, namesake for 12, always rubbed me the wrong way. And I just can't quite put my finger on why that case in particular.
Well, I think what it might be, John, is because I think there's a difference between exploring, like, a different time period alluded to in Tactics. Like, there was, I think it was it called the War of Red Lions that happened before the event of Tactics? Like, if it was a game based around that war, I think it would have been less weird because, that's something that's been established.
It's actively it's telling me it's a part of that mythos.
Yeah, as opposed to, this is totally Ivelisse, guys, I swear it, and it has not a whole lot to do with... I mean, I guess, people might like it to be a little bit less connected, but I suppose that'd be something you'd want to do after having a couple of games in Ivelisse, as opposed to being the second one. It's a complicated... You can buy a fork.
It's a weapon for Kina later.
Oh, okay.
Kina uses giant forks as her weapons, yeah.
Okay.
His weapons. Its weapons.
Its weapons.
Their weapons. Whatever. Well, you know what? I think the choking point for this argument really is that 12 is the only main series Final Fantasy game that wasn't the game to establish its own setting the first time.
I heard
that. Like, the other games have their sequels and spin-offs, but Final Fantasy 12 because it used a world that was established in a spin-off, sort of felt like a spin-off in itself, in a way.
I have to visit 12 again at some point. Then again, there are like a lot of modern day Final Fantasies I have to go back and visit.
Do yourself a favor, okay? Don't play 12. Play 14. It's like 12,
I don't
except
play
better
MMOs.
and multiplayer.
I don't play MMOs.
Then solo it.
It's you know, I need to go back and play this RPG is like my dread it's like my most dreaded feeling at this point, because there are like a million RPGs I want to go play, but you know, it's not like going to visit like a platformer, which you can be done in about like 10 hours. It's, you know, if you even want to get a educated opinion on a game, not even finish it, you have to play for at least 20. So it's
That was a good ballpark estimate, I would agree.
yeah.
It's just, you know, how do I put this? I've got a stack of RPGs that I actually own and haven't played yet, and some of them I have played for like an hour. Some of them, this is the most infuriating thing, some of them I've gotten halfway through, and then got sidetracked for so long I couldn't get back into them, so I have to start all over again.
What's the most... all of us here, what's the most recent RPG we've played?
Not counting Final Fantasy XIV. I was playing Xenoblade Chronicles the other day. Before that, it was Skyrim.
What about you, Ted?
For me, new RPG or...
by recent I mean...
Okay, RPG
you know,
that I've never
recent.
tried before, I'm guessing. It would probably be Devil Survivor 2 Record Breaker, which I stopped about 3/4 of the way through because the game's story was bothering me, and
aliens.
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't just that. It was more I should say the characters were bothering me, and I got to a mission that was annoying, and I just didn't care enough to finish it. So
yeah, the way I understand it, isn't Devil Survivor 2 just really, really, really anime?
It's that, and it also boils down the whole law chaos alignment thing to its most basic and inane kind of way possible. But Ryan, like, I know you don't play RPGs as much as I won't say the rest of us, as me and Lewis, I guess. What was the last one you played other than this?
Hard to say. It's been a while. Probably, if you want to count something like a Fire Emblem.
Or Pokemon, I guess. For some reason, people tend to forget that Pokemon is an RPG, despite arguably being the most successful RPG franchise, but, you know, whatever. That's a different topic.
I would say Pokemon is the most successful.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's not what people think of. It's almost kind of like people try to, like, segregate Pokemon from the rest of RPGs.
RPGs have dragons. Pokemon have dragons.
That's because RPGs are for nerds.
Well, also is Pokemon.
We put LeBron James in a fantasy world setting, people will gobble that shit up.
Oh, I hate
Pokemon's
LeBron
the
James.
game all
Can
the
we
cool
not,
kids
please?
were playing.
Okay, then
We can put him in fantasy basketball.
Yeah, but you know, it's not like the similarities were like invisible. Like I got a cousin of mine to try out Final Fantasy specifically because he thought it was like Pokemon, and that was the only reason he was playing it. So,
Well, I guess if you turn Quina upside down, she sort of looks like a Pokemon.
So I assume, I sort of spaced out through the shopping stuff, but you did some synthing, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I got
Excellent.
basically everything except the desert boots, because the desert boots don't give you any abilities that I need right now.
The coolest thing about Zidane is that he's the one character in this game with 2 weapon types.
You can use knives and double knives. Darth.
He can use
He
butterfly
can use one
swords,
knife
basically.
or 2 knives.
Yeah, he can Darth Maul it up. And you know what's funny? At the end of the game, the final boss quotes Star Wars.
Yeah.
Hey, that's not original. Paper Mario did that too.
That was one thing I was going to bring up. When the airship was heading into Limbo, you get a lot of Star Wars vibes in this game too. Like compared to a lot
Well,
of
episode 1 had just come out at the time.
Oh, God.
Yes.
You don't know the half of it. Final Fantasy XII, the Star Wars in that game is so strong.
Is there darkness in darkness?
Okay.
and
It
light?
begins with a full-scale CG war in which foot soldiers and chocobo knights are fighting on the ground in like a sea of combat, and above that, I swear, the airship battle is like Revenge of the Sith's opening, closer to the ground.
Alright.
Sounds about right. But anyway, you got the ogre from the Synthin. Good man. You pretty much won disc 1 at that point.
Yeah.
Well, if you get
yeah.
a chance for Zidane to attack and you're not too busy trying to make sure he steals everything.
Yeah. Well, you're really only stealing from bosses at this point.
Well, no, I steal from everything because that way.
No,
I don't
I
have to
steal
fight.
from everything because it boosts
Yeah,
thievery.
I can boost. I understand that if you're just trying to boost thievery as early as you possibly can, but sometimes I just want to get a move on.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't steal like 2 things from enemies. I usually steal.
Well, most regular enemies only have one thing anyway.
Well,
So I just,
well,
but it just keeps you from having to buy Phoenix Downs and potions, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
basically, the thing is, you don't really have to steal all that much, and the only time stealing ever really drags things down is during boss fights when you want to get that super rare stuff.
Yeah.
As long as you steal, like, 1 item per random battle, and you usually will on your first attempt to get the super common item. As long as you do that, just steal once per battle, by the end of the game, you'll have maxed out thievery.
How many times do you have to steal stuff in order to get thievery maxed out? Because like
I don't know
where,
what the number is.
I'll look up the formula right now. Give me a
Okay,
second.
let me just put it this way, okay? The first time I played this game, by the time I had Thievery, it was maxed out, and I didn't even know how it worked. It just happened.
at what point do you get thievery in the game?
It's Zidane's last ability, so it's an ability you learn from his highest tier weapons. But you don't need to get his ultimate weapon to get it.
No, you get it from the
obviously
tower
it
and Angel.
helps.
You get it from the tower and Angel Bless.
So it's like a disc 3 kind of ability then.
Early disc 3, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So the damage of thievery is the number of successful steals times your speed divided by 2.
Fairly straightforward, actually.
Yeah, no, that's not like Pokeball calculations or anything, which is absolutely ridiculous.
No, we have to do quantum physics.
Oh no,
Yeah.
for my math class in high school, our teacher made us do a poster about it could be about anything we wanted as long as it was about math. We had to do one of these every quarter. So for two of my projects, one of them was a Professor Layton puzzle, which I basically just copied straight from Curious Village, and the other was trying to explain the Pokeball formula. I got A's both times. It was nice.
Side note, watching the ATEs while you're exploring the town is actually pretty useful here, because during the VV one you get a Kupo nut, and it's actually an item you receive when you watch that ATE.
Yes.
And you'll be able to give that Kupo nut to a Moogle later on.
It could also work the other way too, though, because there's an ATE in Treno, I think, where someone steals 1,000 gil from a character, and
Yeah, but it will get you an item later.
yeah, but you lose 1,000 gil now. It's like, I love
1,000
that
gil
money.
really isn't all that much. Though.
No, you can earn that back in the
Yeah.
forest outside, but you know, like it could work both ways.
Now, is there ever a point where if you miss an ATE, you won't be able to get certain things?
No, not that I know of.
I don't believe so. No, nothing major comes to mind.
Okay, because I like the ATEs just in general because I like them for the same reason I like Tails skits or whatever the hell they called them in Bravely Default. It's just more character building, and it also kind of gets the idea that your party members don't just disappear when you're doing all of your town shenanigans, which is nice as well. But you know, yeah, it's just I'm not sure how I feel about making people watch all of them. So it's good that they don't like lock you out of specific things.
Well, they're not very. Most ATs aren't very long.
Oh no, most
so.
of them are about like 30 seconds tops. So
That girl outside the base never meets Marissa, does she? I mean,
No.
you talk to her and she doesn't know where she's at. She leaves, and then as soon as you're done with this little sequence, you'll see Marissa outside. But they never meet up. I'm wondering if that's like a little Easter egg. Can they meet up?
I have no idea.
I never had them meet up.
John, why are you so interested in the lives of zeros and ones?
I played a lot of the binary. The binarians, I guess, would be a more
What?
accurate way of putting it.
What?
Zeros and ones, it's binary.
I know. I was talking, basically just saying, why are you so interested in the lives of video game NPCs?
Because I like Majora's Mask. 9
I like how Garnet doesn't just have a guard at her door, but at the staircase in the middle of the room she's in. It's like, you can't, it's not like you just can't leave this room. No, you also can't leave that upper floor.
Yeah.
You're stuck in that little circle with the bed in it.
The ultimate of security.
Hey, she can sleep. You know, that's all you need to do if you're a princess, right? Sleep and look pretty. Oh wait, that's why she left. Not Limblum, Alexandria in the first place. Shit.